Yes. The first reading is from Galatians 3, verses 26 through 28. For in Christ Jesus you are all children of God through faith. As many of you as were baptized into Christ have clothed yourselves with Christ. There is no longer Jew or Greek. There is no longer slave or free. There is no longer male and female. For all of you are one in Christ Jesus. And if you belong to Christ, then you are Abraham's offspring, heirs according to the promise.
Our second epistle reading comes from 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 10. Verse 10, and if you notice, this was one of the scriptures that we had on the back of our fluorescent orange shirt that we wore to Haiti, which meant a lot to us in going there. So let us hear God's word. God has given each of you some special abilities. Be sure to use them to help each other, passing on to others God's many kinds of blessings. This is the word of our Lord.
Good morning. It's loud. I have the privilege this morning of being the first one to speak about sharing a non-air-conditioned bedroom with that was the other mission trip I went on. I'm going to speak today about the man behind Mission Starfish. Most of you have had the opportunity to meet him before. He's been here to speak. His name is Cilento Henderson. Cilantor goes by man of many names. The Rat, he also is his Haitian nickname. Cilanto was a young child in Haiti that had a bone infection in his leg. As most of us know, there's not much as far as medicine goes in the country of Haiti. Their main form of medicine is voodoo. So Cilento's mother spent lots of time trying to take him from here to here to try to get him healed. They didn't know what was wrong with him. A man by the name of Tommy Henderson, who was a nurse, most of you also know him, happened to be in Haiti at the time on a mission trip. Tommy saw that there was no way that Cilanto was going to make it if he didn't get the proper care that he needed. So with the paperwork and all the things that go with that, Tommy adopted Cilanto and brought him back to the United States to get him the medical care that he needed for the bone infection that he had. Cilanto has a lot of scars today on his leg that he is more than open to talk about, because that scar that is on his leg is basically put him in the position that he is today and has given him the opportunities that he has today. Cilanto came to the U.S., back to the Quad Cities, where he received the medical attention that he needed. He completed high school. He ended up at Bettendorf High School. After that, he continued his education at Iowa State University. I do like the fact that even though he went to Iowa State, he's got some pretty cool colors for his uniforms and t-shirts that he hands out. That's just my opinion. He said something about Bettendorf, but I thought it was more like Go Hawks. Cilanto spends a lot of his time raising money for his mission. 5 years ago, he started this mission, and if you could go there to see what this man has accomplished in 5 years, that was the thing that kind of blew me away. You know, he has a school for K through 5 that was built from the bottom up. There was really nothing there. He's created a school that gives these kids the opportunity to get an education. Right after we left, the kindergarten in the church was less than a shelter house that we would find at a park. It was beat down, it was old. They tore it down. and are constructing a beautiful new church and kindergarten area for these children. Solanto sacrifices a lot for these children. Just the little things, like his car that he took us to and from the airport in, the transmission was about to fall out from underneath of it as we drove the 3-hour trip to the airport from the school. I know those that were with me in the car, I didn't think we were going to make it. And I wasn't ready to walk that far either. No, yeah, the van that's a whole different story there too. When the luggage starts falling off the top, good thing it was strapped on. But Solanto, you wonder how a guy can go from Iowa State, where he was going to be an educator, taught a year in the Teach America program, and then as he talks about the racial differences between blacks and people from Haiti, and how the kids threw books at him. They would shut the lights off in the classroom, and when he walked into the classroom, they would throw stuff at him when he walked in. And he learned quickly how to solve that as a disciplinarian, and he threw stuff back. But it was his desire to leave America, where he had spent the majority of his life. He decided at that point to leave and go back to Haiti to be what he likes to call a difference maker. And hopefully through the other people that you hear from today and the pictures you see, there's no doubt that the guy's making a difference. Thank you.
I get to talk about church. We went to church the first morning we were there in that building that Mike described, that very beaten up building. We went in. Most of the people are already there, dressed in their Sunday best, and sitting on benches that were low to the ground or anything else they could find to sit on. It was packed in there. And the thing that struck me, when we walked in, they were singing. And they sang, we sang for a good 20, 30 minutes, I think. And we were sitting in the back, and I got to sit next to 3 young boys, 12, 13 years old. And the one that was right next to me was kind of mouthing the words. They were singing in Creole. I don't speak Creole, but he was mouthing the words, so I was able to sing as well. He welcomed us, and I think Melody and Sally, I think we were all sitting together. And they were just delightful, wonderful, joyful in their praise of God. And they finally sang a hymn we knew, How Great Thou Art. And we could sing that. I think I sang the first verse over and over because I didn't remember all the verses, but we got the chorus okay. But it was beautiful. I felt very connected to these people who I didn't know, but knew that we shared a faith in Jesus. And that really, for me, was incredibly powerful. And then they prayed, and I think I talked about this when we first got back. They started to pray. And all of a sudden, you could hear not only the pastor praying and the leader praying, but the people were praying out loud. And it sounded as if they were speaking in tongues. I think a lot of us thought that was happening, but we finally figured out they were praying. From the youngest of them, the 3- and 4-year-olds, to the oldest, were praying out loud. And this went on for a good 10 minutes, I think. It was a long time of prayer, and it was incredibly powerful and beautiful. We were welcomed into that community wholeheartedly and made to feel welcome. And the thing that I will take away from Haiti, more than anything, is joy. Joy amidst what I would say would be a lot of hardship. But they were joyful people and are joyful people who were welcoming of us. And even though we did not speak the same language, even though we came from very different places, we were united by our faith in Jesus, and they shared their joy with us, and that will stay with me forever, I think. Thank you.
On Sunday, we attended part of the worship service, which Pam didn't mention usually lasts about 3 hours. About an hour into the service, Pam introduced us, all the team members, to the congregation, and then we left the service to begin preparing a community meal for all those who were attending the worship service. Some of us chopped vegetables, which I would say with machete-sized knives. Others washed dishes. Some laid out styrofoam containers the food would be served in, and Chicken David cooked chicken over a coal-burning stove. What a blessing it was to be able to prepare a meal and serve a meal to those less fortunate, and worshiped the Lord with enthusiasm and joy. Once the vegetables, chicken, and rice had been cooked and prepared, some of us divided the prepared food into the containers, and as the containers were filled, we took them to where the worship service had concluded and began serving the people and children the meal that we had prepared. The people were so grateful and appreciative for the food. As I look back at this experience, I am so thankful for the electricity we have to cook over a clean stove. Many women die from lung cancer over there due to cooking in a confined space over a pile of coal burning around the heat coming off of the coal. It was pretty intense and hot. I've also come to be very thankful for clean water to cook with, drink, and so fortunate to live in an environment where our health is taken seriously and precautions are in place to let us live and grow in healthy conditions.
Oh, is it on? Okay. Talking about the schools. That was the basis of Cilantro when he first started, bringing a school to the children of Haiti. I wasn't sure what to expect, so a lot of what I'm going to say is expectation, but then the reality. The expectation was, okay, this is a third world, what are they learning? Basic reading, writing, arithmetic, found so much more. There was algebra on the walls. There was calculus on the walls. They were learning French. They were learning English. They had their schedule. There was Haitian history. You know, just like we would learn U.S. or Iowa history, they had the map of Haiti, and they were talking about all the different parts of Haiti and what you could grow in this part of Haiti and what you might find in this part of Haiti. Just kind of blew me away a little bit. The school itself, as Mike said, the kindergarten rooms were not much more than a park shelter. And they had 3 classrooms of probably 38 kindergartners, 3, 4, 5-year-olds in these classrooms, all sitting on benches, basically what you have. You would have a little table in front of you. They didn't really have centers. They did have recess. They had their meal right there, brought to them, and they sat and ate. The older classrooms were cement brick buildings. Classrooms, let me say that, classrooms. Again, 30 to 35 kids in those classrooms, and I'm thinking, wow, what are they learning? How do they stay focused? It's hot. There's somebody right next to them. What are they learning? Well, we had the opportunity, they're like, oh, come in, you know, sit with me. And they would show you what they're reading, how they're doing it. You watch the instructor, and a lot of the things that we do here in the States, that instructor is doing right along, you know, working with not necessarily small groups, but his eyes are constantly, you know, scanning the crowd and making sure that they're paying attention, that they're working. And really, he's got an easy job because the discipline in these classrooms was amazing. They were all there. They all understood what education meant. They all understood what it meant for them to be there, to be learning, and what that education could do for them. I had another expectation that everything that I know as a teacher is you need a literature-rich classroom. You need to have things on the wall, things for them to read, books in the classroom for them to read. And I thought, well, maybe there'd be a little bit. Not so much. The reality was that it was yellow walls, and I don't know if anybody's talking about the painting, but they paint these walls with oil-based paint that we dilute with gasoline and then put on the walls. That was not what I expected. But anyway, on these walls, you might have a map of Haiti. All the kids had their books with them, but there was no room in these classrooms for anything else. So my expectation was to be a little bit, and also a lot of us brought school supplies so that that new kindergarten room that Mike was talking about will have some of those things on the walls to beautify it and also to make it literature rich. Like I said, the kids really took pride in their learning. They wanted us to see what they were doing. They wanted to show us what they were learning. They wanted us to learn right along with us. You know, I don't speak Creole and I don't speak much French, German maybe, but they were right there, well, it's like this. And then they would pronounce it and pronounce it and pronounce it so that we finally figured it out. What else? Oh, and the other thing about supplies, my expectation was that at least each room would have chalk and an eraser and those things. No, they share an eraser. One little boy would take the eraser and take it to the next room, or somebody would come over and just stand at the door. Oh, well, that meant he needed the eraser. I think there was one eraser for the 5 classrooms. So we tried to rectify that. But Salanto has done a wonderful thing, bringing schools 288, and then I think this year he's going to have more students, and he is being effective. It is a wonderful program that he has going on down there.
So I'd like to invite the children to come forward, please. All the children, all ages. Looking at my brother right now. Okay, so you guys like to play games, right? Yeah? Okay, so in Haiti, they have lots of games that they play. But the games that they play in Haiti might be a little bit different than the games that you guys play. Because in Haiti, they don't have iPads, they don't have tablets, they don't have anything that they can click and play games on. They have to make up games by themselves and play with their hands. So Haley and I, and also Brady and Jenny, are going to show you a few of the games that they play. So that means. So the first game that they play is kind of like a rhyming game, a pattern game, and they play it all the time. They stick up their fists like this, and they go double double this, double double that, double this, double that, double this, that. And they have this thing down to their science, like all of the kids, all of them, and do it so fast. The first time that we sat down and we started playing with them, I was like, okay, what is this? And they went off and they were and they kept going. They're able to go so fast, and they never slow down. And it's so much fun to watch. It's amazing to see the joy that they have playing this simple little game that you would think that teenagers today probably would have very much fun with. So another game that they like to play is kind of like a competition game. So one person puts their hands on the bottom like this, and the other person has it on top. And then the person on bottom tries to hit the person's hands on top by tricking them. So I got hit. So then they'd switch. And they play that all the time. They're fast. I don't think I've beaten any of them once at all. Even the little babies, they get a fool out of me. It was embarrassing, but they had a lot of fun doing that too. So another game they like to play is a foot game.
So instead of a handshake, like a special secret handshake, they would have a foot shake. So they would go the inside of the foot, inside of the other foot, behind, and then outside of the foot. And they would go so fast. Just learning. It's like, what are you doing? You kind of took over your own feet. Then you got it.
So the amazing thing about the way how all these kids play these games is they can do them for hours and be completely entertained by them. Like, I see them, they're all around the courtyard doing games like this. They have things like jump rope and things like that to the top that we brought them. But their favorite games to play are the ones that just do all themselves. Like, you don't need anything else to do it. And it was just so much fun to watch how much fun the kids have. So let's pray. Dear God, we thank you for the gifts of children and the games that they love to play and the joy that we see in their hearts as they play the games and learn to have fun at such a young age. Amen. So I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on the children from Haiti because they were so amazing. So when I signed up to go to Haiti for a week, I was expecting to make a difference in the lives of multiple children. What I didn't realize at the time is how much of an impact they would have on my life and me. The children in Haiti are truly one of a kind. They embody the type of person that I try to be on a daily basis. They are humble, kind, grateful, and joyful. They've been dealt an unfortunate hand in life, but they don't let it get them down. They spread their enthusiasm in multiple ways, whether it's through games, singing, dancing, conversations, or even just a smile. As many lessons as I learned from the kids about enjoying life, there were also harder lessons that I learned. Some of the most important lessons that I learned came from children that I saw in the streets as I watched their struggle. The children in Haiti taught me many lessons, some hard and painful to learn, others joyful and fun, but all of them taught me more about God and the way He works in life in mysterious ways throughout all of our lives. One of the most important lessons the children in Haiti taught me was that not everything needs to be extravagant, that the small things in life are the ones that matter. As I think of this lesson, one specific story comes to mind. Shortly after we arrived in Haiti, some of us met the kids that we sponsored and gave them gifts that we had bought for them back in the States. My mom and I bought small things for our little girl. As we met our child and handed her the gifts, she started to cry. Later in the day, when she came back for arts and crafts, she handed me a little plastic keychain of a teddy bear, one that wouldn't even fit in my fingertip. And she looked at me sheepishly and she said, "I love you." This small act of kindness almost brought me to tears. This little girl had taught me how important the small things were without even knowing it. How even though I felt the gift I gave her was, how even though she felt the gift that she gave me was insignificant, it meant the world to her. She had thought enough of it to give me a gift of her own, one that I could tell had meant a lot to her and something that she kept dear. And for her to tell me that she loved me, a stranger that she had only met a few hours ago, this is a story that I often think of and one that humbled me beyond words. Even now, the present she gave me is tacked above my bed, and I look at it every morning when I wake up and at night when I go to bed to remind myself to be humble and to remember the small things. Another crucial lesson that I learned from the children in Haiti was to be grateful for everything that I have. Shortly before arriving in Haiti, I suffered an unfortunate injury that stalled me from doing the activities I loved doing for a while. Arriving in Haiti, I was feeling pretty bad for myself. However, as I walked the streets of Gonaïves for the first time, I started to feel pretty silly and very ashamed of myself. Who was I, who have been blessed beyond belief in life, to be saddened down over an injury which I would recover from when I was looking at starving children running through the streets, unclothed, carrying small cups filled with brown water, begging me for food and water, pulling on my clothes as they told me they were hungry. It was the most humbled I have ever been. And it taught me to be thankful for what I have. Every day I think of the kids in Haiti as I go through my daily activities. I strive to show God how thankful I am and try to complain less. The children in Haiti showed me God in multiple ways and completely transformed the way I go through my daily life. I think of them and the multiple lessons that they taught me on a daily basis.
Communication in Haiti was through love. We couldn't understand them and they couldn't understand us, but we knew that they loved us and they knew that we loved them. And I think that was the most impactful thing that I experienced, that even though that we couldn't speak their language or hear what they had to say to us, that through their actions and through how they looked at us and gave us small gifts, that we knew that they loved us and that they knew by our service work that we loved them. We could communicate with them through some English, some of the little kids knew how to say a few words, but not many. But smiles and hugs and holding hands was the main way that we interacted with them, and it was just amazing to see that through not words, but just through our hands and our love.
So there are a lot of shoes in Haiti. There are shoes being sold everywhere. But the shoes that they sell are just flip-flops. They're sandals, cheap rubber, cheap plastic sandals that, you know, will last for a while, but I mean, they don't really have good pairs of tennis shoes. If their parents are gonna buy them shoes, they're gonna buy them nice dress shoes because they wear them 6, 7 days a week for church, for school, for their uniforms, but they don't really have any tennis shoes. So one of the things Salanto asked us to bring was tennis shoes. And instead of just, you know, handing them out to the kids, which he did do if it was an extremely needy situation, even for Haiti standards, but he put them in the resale shop where local women who produced jewelry, who created artwork, would go and sell their items to them, and then we as tourists, or people in the community could come and buy the shoes for their children. They can buy dress shoes, they can buy tennis shoes, we can buy that jewelry, and all the funds just go right back into this school. And I mean, not everything that he's doing is fundraising. He also, even though he has a degree in teaching, he's got his own degree in business. And does every little thing he can to keep that school going.
I had the opportunity to organize some arts and crafts here and bring them with us to Haiti. The first day we did arts and crafts was on Monday after school. They were released right after lunch, and they were told to come back at 3. And I think kids started gathering outside the school about 1 o'clock. They were so excited to come back. And Jen got some tie-dye kits at the store and t-shirts, and we tie-dyed on Monday. Those kids were still wearing the shirts on Friday when we left underneath their uniform. They cherished those. They wanted to take them home Monday night, and we said, no, we have to keep them here. So we had to actually take them upstairs so the kids couldn't take them because we had to wash them out and dry them. We also did foam crosses, and that was kind of they're just so excited to do the arts and crafts that we had stickers for them to put on. Those kids took a whole bunch of stickers and totally covered the crosses. Nothing like we would do here that we kind of organize it, make it look pretty. No, they just covered everything. Some people also brought rubber bands to make rubber band bracelets with kids using their fingers. So the kids were able to do that. We also made purity bracelets with the different color beads, and we talked about what color they are and what they mean. And then we also painted nails. And I think some of the boys wanted their nails painted, but they weren't too sure, and that was okay. I told them, hey, it's all right, I paint my 4-year-old's nails. It was just a joy to see how much fun they had in the afternoons, and they would stay and play afterwards until 7, 8 o'clock at night when Salanto said, you gotta go home. It's getting dark out. And it was just a great opportunity, and I cannot wait to go back. Thank you.
So I I know some of you guys sponsor children in Haiti. It costs about $1 a day to sponsor a child, and what the children get out of that sponsorship is a daily meal at school. They get a uniform that's been handmade by someone in the community, and they get their school books. And so I know that there's about 100 and 120 kids that aren't sponsored. So the kids that aren't sponsored still get the meal, they still get the clothes, but they don't have the book, so they just share with another kid. But speaking for myself, one of the more meaningful parts of the trip was meeting my sponsor child, Yonette. It's nice to get the pictures that they send and her report cards and letters, but it's much more special to meet her in person. So on Monday during the day, when we initially met our sponsors, and they were all kind of apprehensive, but it might have been because they all got called to the principal's office. So they were a little bit hesitant about, first of all, standing in the principal's office, but then meeting all of us. We had brought each of them a small gift, like school supplies, puzzles, games, candy, etc. But then after the initial meeting, Yonette pretty much warmed up to me. Rodney, who's my mom's sponsor child, didn't need any warming up because he's kind of a little ham and likes to show off for people. So we got to spend a lot of time together during our activity times in the afternoon. I also got to hang out with Rodney, and he taught me how to count and my colors in Creole. So Yonette and I tie-dyed t-shirts, we painted fingernails, and she braided my hair. Not gently either. Later on in the week, our sponsors and the people who sponsor them, we got to go into the shoe room and pick out a new pair of black dress shoes. Now to us, these were our used shoes that we brought. They had been worn out or whatever, but for them, they were new shoes. They were brand new, and they were so thankful and appreciative for something that we had given them. So I think that was the most meaningful to me.
Now I'm back, and louder than ever. One of the fun things that we got to do, or at least fun for some of us, was we went up a local mountain. Now, Salanto kind of misled us. There was a trail, I'll give him that, but it was pretty rough trail that wasn't just, nice dirt / gravel. It was kind of jump from here to there. Sometimes you had to jump down, sometimes you had a couple big steps in a row. You had to watch out for local animals, business. But that was pretty neat. As we were headed down, my mom said it reminded her of Jerusalem, and I turned to her and I was like, "You remember what Jerusalem looks like? Didn't know you were that old." She wasn't thrilled by that comment, but everyone else thought it was hilarious. Thankfully, we didn't have to walk to the mountain, just up the mountain. But I think a couple people might have rather walked to the mountain. Instead of buses or trolleys, they have tap-taps. Tap-taps are just a small little truck bed that's got the covering over top and a bench on one side and a bench on the other side. And the reason that they're called a tap-tap is because when you want off, you just go tap-tap. And they know to let you off, and they know how far you've gone and what you have to pay. But sometimes there's not enough room on the tap-tap. So none of us sat on the roof, none of us had our legs blown in the wind, but we stood like on the tailgate of the truck and just held on. And luckily, we went fairly slow, so we didn't get whipped around any corners, but it was different. It was very different. But it was also kind of fun. Definitely a new and different experience, but also fun.
Thanks to the generosity of many of you and others, we were able to carry out many rewarding projects, and 2 of those I had a personal interest in. The first one, with the help of the team, we distributed over 300 toothbrushes and toothpaste to the classrooms. And with Salanto being my interpreter, we'd go from classroom to classroom and I would instruct them and I would say, okay, now put your brush up close to the gum line, and instead of those big back and forth motions, we're gonna wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Well, here's your first Creole word. It's not wiggle, it's ooly, ooly, ooly. So next time you brush, you think ooly, 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 okay? The second project, and again through generous donations, we were able to purchase a Hayes Pure water system. I encourage you to go to that website and check this out. It's amazing. We were able to donate that to the school and to the community. Dave and Mick and I were able to meet with Mr. Hayes, who he is the retired superintendent of the water department in Washington, Iowa. And he is now made distributing these units his mission in life. When we met with him, he just returned from Nepal and had distributed 400 of these units to the earthquake victims. And he was able to show us how to use it and then be able to demonstrate this to Salanto's, actually his security guys, who were going to then use it for purifying the water, not only at the school, but the community. The unit actually breaks salt water down into chloride. And you end up with this small bottle of chloride, and by only adding 2 capfuls to 5 gallons of water, you can purify that water and actually eradicates up to 99.9% of the bacteria that's in that water. And of course, that bacteria is one of the leading causes of illness in Haiti. As a matter of fact, there is a death rate of 1 out of every 4 children in Haiti does not reach the age of 5. Pretty high mortality rate. And a lot of that is due to the water supply and also lack of immunizations. So just by improving that water supply, this will, those illnesses can be eradicated, the illnesses caused by bacteria and parasites. It's Salanto's hope that eventually he's going to have an on-site nurse at their own medical clinic, and that would be one of, hopefully, their responsibilities along with other duties, but would be to distribute that chloride to the families so that it not only helps the school, but also the community. So that would make a big impact on that community. As far as how it impacted me, I've been very fortunate. I've done mission work in Brazil and Mexico and Haiti now, but definitely Haiti is the poorest of the poor. And you cannot fathom the conditions. You can only experience it to know just how bad that is. And you can't return home without a feeling of deep gratitude for all that we have been blessed with. But at the same time, there's an overwhelming feeling of guilt, that can only be explained away as God's grace. And it's certainly not because of anything that I have done to deserve all that I have. It's God that did that for me. But with that grace comes a big responsibility, as Mike pointed out to us very well a couple of weeks ago as he gave the charge to the youth group for their mission trip. So what do we as Christians do with that responsibility? Well, you don't have to go to Haiti. There are lots of opportunities. We just have to be aware of those. As it says in Luke 12, to whom much is given, much will be required. So now I'm going to turn this over to Melody, but first I'd like for you to meet Melody. Melody and I met in Brazil in 2003. She's a retired kindergarten teacher from Independence. And when I mentioned we were going to be going to Haiti, I didn't have to say anything. She says, I'm in. I want to go. So this is Melody.
It's a joy to be with you today, and I send greetings from the First Presbyterian Church in Independence. And it was a joy hanging out with these folks for a whole week. They changed my life as well as being in Haiti. I would love to tell you about the Hands of Love project. When I taught kindergarten, we would do handprint projects for Christmas gifts, and we would give them to the parents. This was a little different because I had to put the paint that Sandy described filled with gasoline on their hands, and they put their handprints on a cement wall that was painted white. And all their handprints went all over the wall, and then we tried to wipe the paint off as best we could from their hands. But it was beautiful. It was beautiful when we got done to look back and say, these are children of God, and they blessed us so richly. The second thing that I'd like to talk to you about are the Musketeers. 2 evenings we were privileged enough to hear a local band, their local rock band, so to speak, and they perform music with a number of guitars, and the percussionist sat on a wooden box and would pound between his legs on the box, and that was their percussion. Well, they did a number of Haitian tunes that were really spirited, and we all got up and danced, which was really fun. And then he said, the lead singer said, well, now it's time for us to do an American tune. And we all went, okay, we're good at this. And they said, do you know Hotel California? And we all said, yes, we do. And so we all started out and we sang, on a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair. And then we all went, na 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 na. Okay, so one thing that I learned is I also need to learn the words to Hotel California when I say I know the song. So, but we had a lot of fun. And then the second night, they gave us a second try, and so we all had our iPhones with the lyrics ready so that we were truly prepared. But anyway, out of this trip, I realized how very, very blessed I am. And when I got home, and I was brushing my teeth, and I just turned on my tap water and I got down on my knees and I just thanked God, because we're so lucky to just have running water, and we just take those things for granted. So I was blessed by the children. I was blessed by how they had so few resources, but they made such good use of them. And then I was so blessed by the people, the joy that I received from you. Thank you.
3 of the mornings that we were out there, one of the service projects we did is the pastor of this church that was on the campus, he lined up homes that he wanted us to go into, I shouldn't say into, but go to and prepare and make cement floors for these homes. Now, one of the things that terrifically changed for me is when we think of a home here is about 180 degrees different than a home in Haiti. The majority of the homes in Haiti, they're maybe about a 12 by 12 structure made with sticks that are kind of put up for a wall structure, and then they take a grass and a mud mixture, and that's the walls. And they will try to get anything that they can to put as a roof, whether it be, you know, old tin or, you know, cardboard or whatever they can, and most times have dirt floors, which a lot of disease, you know, comes from sleeping on those floors. So very few of the homes had cement floors. So 3 mornings we would go out, and it was probably about a half a mile walk for us that we would go through the community there to get to where the pastor had lined us up to work. And another Haitian word for white is blah. So as we're walking, and the roads were basically dirt roads filled with gravel, a lot of potholes, not even, and these homes or huts were just on each side. And most of them had some type of fence around them to keep, they said, from others coming in to steal what little possessions they had. So as we would go down, we would hear this blah, blah, blah from the kids, and all of a sudden here you'd see just all the kids coming out, and they'd be standing looking at us, you know, as we're walking down. And I don't think it affected me per se, but definitely the color of our skin was definitely stood out as different. But they didn't see that there. And as we would go, the kids would just kind of follow us, and, you know, they'd kind of grab on some of our hands as we walked, and didn't make any difference at all. Well, when we got there, basically the first thing we had to do is we had to carry about, a softball size, maybe to baseball size gravel that was basically just poured in a pile out on the road. And they had 5-gallon buckets, and so we would shovel the rock, gravel into the buckets. Typically it was about 3 shovelfuls per bucket, and then we would walk, it could be a distance, but walk with that bucket, and then there would be somebody there at the hut who then would dump that inside this dwelling and would level it out. And they wanted to get a foundation, maybe about 10 inches deep of that. But the thing is we're doing that, the kids were all around. And they didn't just stand and watch, they pitched in and helped. And they would join on, no matter who we were, they would grab another side of that bucket. And they weren't going to take no for an answer. And they would hang on one side, they would hang on, we would be on the other. And the thing is they just didn't hang on, but they would take their opposite arm. Stand up. And so if Jenny had one side of the bucket, I would have the other. And of course, we're about the same height, but they were a lot smaller. They'd take their opposite hand and they'd push against you, walking that whole way. And it was amazing how much support that from that little hand provided to us. To talk about some of the enthusiasm of the kids, I felt sorry for Jennifer, because she seemed to hook onto this same little girl all 3 days. And this little girl, when they came up with the empty bucket to fill, they would just point, fill it, fill it. So Jennifer was with her, and so, I'd put in 3 shovelfuls. She wasn't taking 3. Keep filling it, keep filling it. Well, after her and Jennifer had made it about 3 times, poor Jennifer looked like she's about ready to pass out. And finally, I just had to say, no, she can't take it, she can't take it. But that little girl stayed there the whole time, all 3 days, helping. And every kid there, I remember, I'll never forget it, little 4-year-old, she came out with a little metal pan. And I think, to me, it was kind of like a dog dish, a dog waters dish. And she came up by herself, sat it down at my feet, and pointed. So I thought, okay, I'll put a little in there. She stood there and pointed again. Had it filled, carried that to the hut, emptied it by herself, came back, got some more, and kept doing that to help somebody else out. So we would take the buckets, we would dump the rock, and then when it was time to make the cement, they had, and I'm not sure what it was, but was it kind of a reddish colored clay, reddish colored dirt that was just piled there, and they would kind of scoop some out and make kind of a hole in the middle, and then they'd take a bag of cement that they'd purchased ahead of time, just put it there, break the bag, dump the cement in, and then of course for the water, they had to go to the well, and they had to fill these 5-gallon buckets with water. They had to carry it back they had a big, about 50-gallon tub or container that they'd put the water in, and then we'd have to bucket it out in to mix the cement. So basically they were mixing cement on this dirt road. And so we'd shovel it in, and then we'd have to carry it to the hut. And bucket after bucket, we'd have to dump it. Now, talking about these kids, they would help us carry it there. But once it was dumped, that bucket was the kids, not ours. They'd take that bucket, they would rush back to where we were putting it in, and there'd be like 3, 4 people standing in line waiting their turn to get more. They didn't know what waiting in line meant. They went right to the front. Fill it again, fill it again. And they carried that on all morning long. Now, when I say all morning long, we're talking about 90-degree heat, 90% humidity, and we're not used to those conditions, but those kids worked like I've never seen somebody work, and they never gave up. And they were doing it, and they weren't getting anything out of it either for themselves, but they were there to help. And their joy and enthusiasm they show was just unbelievable. I'll never forget the spirit of those kids that they showed. So as we would dump in the cement, one time I had to be in, and I would take each bucket and dump it in. There was one gentleman in there, and he basically had a simple single trowel, and he was just smoothing it out. And he'd stuck 4 sticks to make kind of a rectangle in the hut, and he took a string and just strung it and kind of eyeballed it. It was level, And that's how I measured how much cement. So bucket by bucket, we would just fill it till that house, had a cement floor. And basically in these homes, all they had was a cement floor and a window, and that was their home. They were lucky if they had a table or a chair to sit on, but that's where they survived. And they took those simple things that they had and thought that they had the world and could share their joy and enthusiasm with all of us. One thing that really struck me too was when we were taking a break one time, that made an impact also, is that, when we walked down these streets, as it was mentioned by the girls, you didn't see kids out kicking balls, you didn't see kids out playing games, you didn't see kids, holding video games, you didn't see kids riding bikes or scooters. There was nothing. And there was really no color, as you think, per se, in these towns, or in the, walking there. But here, when we were taking a break one time, here were these three little kids, and they'd taken an old sock, and they balled it up, and they were just kicking it back and forth like a soccer ball. Taking simple things and getting a lot of pleasure and joy out of it. And that spoke to me quite a bit about how richly we are blessed here, probably even more than we need to be blessed, and how the simple things that they have, they do not take for granted, and yet they're willing to share that joy with all of us.
Our church graciously provided the funds for some of the supplies we needed while we were in Haiti, and that included the purchase of 15 to 20 pound, 15 to 20, 25 kilogram, which is 55 pound bags of rice. 8 of those bags we set aside to give directly to the families of children sponsored by folks on our mission team. And the rest we repackaged in approximately 80 smaller garbage bags to give to families that had been prioritized by the pastor. And on Thursday afternoon, we had the opportunity to give those to our sponsor families and to the other families as they came to the mission to receive those bags of rice. And as I thought about this process, there were several things that really stuck out for me over the weeks that followed. And one of those was that our family sponsored child, whose name was Pataline, her sister came to receive the rice. And her sister looked to be about 20 years old, and she was pregnant. And when I was pregnant, my doctor and all the pregnancy books instructed me not to lift anything over 25 pounds. And yet this woman hoisted this 55-pound bag of rice up and carried it on her head to her home, which was some distance probably away from the mission. And I thought a lot about the prenatal care that I received and the prenatal vitamins and all those things that just didn't exist for a pregnant Haitian woman. And you understand why so many of them die before they reach 5. And then I also think about a bag of white rice and how little nutritional value that really provides. It fills a void in the stomach, but there's not a lot of nutrition in white rice. I also thought about Pataline's sister seemed very serious and really didn't smile when we met her. And I found that while the children were very joyful, a lot of the older people that we encountered in the community were very serious. And I thought about the life of a Haitian adult and how they do the same thing every day of their lives, and they never take a vacation, they never go to the grandparents' house for a weekend, and they never eat out at Applebee's. It's the same toil day after day. I also thought in the US, the health inspectors would have shut down our little rice bagging operation. When we came back one day from working on the concrete floors, there was this big pile of rice that had been dumped out on the floor. And they had put some of the bags, the actual burlap bags, underneath the rice, but it was pretty hard to keep it on the burlap, so a lot of it ended up on the floor. And this is the same floor that we walked on after walking through the Go Naive community, which Dave described to you as dirt with a lot of ruts, and the animals roam through these streets as well. So I don't think the U.S. health inspectors would have allowed us to continue. And finally, earlier in the week, when we'd been pouring concrete, a girl that had been working with us rubbed her belly and pointed back to the pastor's house that we used as home base, where we got our snacks and water, and she motioned to me for me to give her something to eat. And we'd been instructed not to do that because you would just get swarmed by all of the other children and people when they saw that happen. So I told her, no, it's ours. And then she came back a few minutes later with her pregnant mother, and I realized that when she rubbed her belly, she wasn't asking for food for herself, she was asking for food for her mother, and I had to turn her mother away as well, but I directed her to the pastor in hopes that he would put her and their family on that rice distribution list. And I realized that, well, it wasn't possible for me to help everyone, that it was at least important to help someone and those that we could, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity.
Does everyone own a 5-gallon bucket? I'm sure if you're not sure, go out to your garage and you'll find one. The week we were in Haiti, what we learned was we were going to be showering out of this bucket. Amongst other things, when we arrived, I think we all wondered why we'd made the decision we'd made. I know I questioned my enthusiasm over this whole week, and if I was going to be able to do it. This bucket represents a lot more than just a shower. This bucket, people gathered water to help cook our meals. People gathered water, as Dave said, to mix with the cement so we could help other people pour their concrete floors. This bucket we did take showers with. And honestly, I learned that I didn't even need to fill it very full to feel refreshed. I could get by with very little water, and I could get cooled off just enough. And really, it was fine. It wasn't a big deal. I went to Haiti at a time in my life when I have a lot of changes in my life. I've got kids going off to college. My house is going to be quiet this fall. I feel like I have things to give, and I don't know what I'm to give to. That's why I went on this trip. What I learned is a lot of these people have shared exactly what I learned. Community. The biggest thing I saw is in our country we're disconnected and we fend for ourselves and we take care of our family and we do what we need to do. In Haiti, everybody's business is everybody's business, and everybody is on top of each other and touches each other and sweats on each other and helps each other, and there are no secrets, and it feels great. The pastor chooses who gets concrete floors. Salanto doesn't do that. He provides resources, and the pastor decides who is in most need and has a list. And people that get in line for rice, the same thing. He has an exact number. He knew how many we had. He counts out that many people. He makes it fair. He doesn't give if he can't give. You know, we were instructed we could give little treats to the kids in the community if we had enough that we could give. Otherwise, we couldn't do it. These bags of water is how we drank safe water. This is a Culligan bag. Melody, she was kind enough to let me borrow. She brought one home, but this probably held 6 ounces of water. We bit off the edge of it and we drank out of it, or we bit off the edge and poured it in our water bottle. They can tolerate the water, we cannot. So this is what we drank, and we had plenty. We had plenty. Some days it was cold, some days it wasn't, but we were provided for. Many people today use the word gratefulness. I'm grateful I found in this bucket has a bottom, but buckets don't have bottoms. They are provided for, we are provided for, they are grateful people. We need to wake up and be grateful people. We are rich in God's love, and we are given a task to use our hands to help do God's work, and we should be grateful, and we need to share our gifts. We've said joy. Everybody here has described joy, and you'll see in the pictures the joy on faces, and you can't describe it. Bubbling over with joy. I saw compassion. I saw so much compassion, and what we gave, what we saw, we got back 100-fold. I guarantee you that we all came back richer than we ever thought we would, and we were given back more than anything we ever thought we could be given. Did I say connection already? Connection. People are connected. The kids had simple games, but you know why it was fun? Because they played it with someone else. They were connected. They connected to us with their eyes, they connected to us with their hand motions, they connected by their actions and the things they said and did, and they were eager to learn, and they were eager to teach us. I felt connected more than I've ever felt connected in years to people in general, because there was always people, always something to do, and it was always interaction. We were connected people. And last but not least, love. In this bucket and in our week, we saw God's love work through everyone in a way that I've not been able to experience in my life before. And it brought us back as stronger people willing to do God's work and willing to be open to find out what that work is. Thank you for taking your time today to listen to our stories.
We will be at coffee hour if you have other questions for us, but now we've heard us talk about Haiti, now we'd like you to see it.